Welcome to Top Branch, a series from the Dove Agency, where we're rooted in stability and reaching for growth. Join the Dove Agency and our special guests as we bring you expert insights and practical solutions to help your interior design business thrive. This is Top Branch. Let's grow together.
Hi everyone, I'm Ruth Janson and this is Beth Bender with me here today. We are bringing you another episode of Top Branch.
Excited to be back. Excited to be back for the new year.
It is good to be back. And one of the things a couple of things we're gonna go over today is, yes, it is February, and I don't know if that brings a little anxiety that there's already a month under everyone's belt, but it's not too late to start thinking about different ways to monitor your business and try to make your design firm as profitable as possible in 2026.
Never too late.
Never too late.
One
of the things that actually the biggest expense of most design firms, almost every design firm, is their cost of their employees. So let's kind of kick around good ways to be monitoring your team and making sure that they're set up for success in terms of being productive as well as profitable for you in 2026.
That's great.
And I think, yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that, you said the most expensive thing for a design firm is their employees, but I mean, that includes the owner of the firm. I mean, at the end of the day, you're an employee. So even if you're just a solopreneur, at the end of the day, you want to take home money.
Yes.
You want to be able to pay yourself. So
correct. And that's one of the things that needs to be pretty closely scrutinized is kind of taking a look at your team, including yourself, and setting those targets. And we've alluded to this on previous episodes, which are, how many hours per week / per month can I be billing time? And then at what rate? So you need to be taking a look at that and kind of thinking about current market conditions. What are the kind of skill sets of your team, etc. And then taking a look at that compared to the cost of those employees. So it's quick calculations, but it's really something that if you're more forward looking on it, you're going to be able to stay on top of it in 2026.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then kind of let's just weave into that the idea of owner compensation, because you touched on that. I was going to bring it up in a minute, but let's go ahead and finish that thought, which is, a lot of times we're doing consulting for our designers. They're coming to us with setting their goals for 26, for example. Most of the time, they're not coming to us with a revenue number. I need to get to 2 million, 4 million, 400,000, whatever it is. What they're coming to us with is a number of how much comp they want to be receiving in any given year. So let's kind of kick around what that looks like in terms of planning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're talking about how much do you actually want to bring home at the end of the day, it goes back to just a simple calculation. Like you have to know, okay, I'm going to take on this many projects. What is that profitability of those projects going to be? And out of that profitability, how much am I going to kind of earmark for myself?
Right.
And that's going to then, you can back into everything else. And so as far as thinking through what do your hourly fees need to be, or are you going to take a set design fee? At the end of the day, that has to be established pretty early on before you even get started in a project, because that is most likely how you're going to be paying yourself. The product and what you make on the product really needs to be more kind of bonus, not necessarily what you're counting on to pay yourself.
Yeah. And that is the way a lot of designers, I think, look at it, is those fees are always, quote, theirs, and they kind of squirrel those away first. And then the product and that markup, they kind of keep that aside, make sure there's not kind of changes coming through on the project, make sure the client doesn't, possibly change their mind on certain goods down the road, etc. So I think those are really good things to keep in mind as you're thinking about setting your own compensation for 2026. And that kind of weaves into another thought around kind of looking at your team and your own kind of profitability and how much you're going to be charging out, i.e. that revenue number, and thinking about like your fees in relation to your goods for a given year. That's something that designers come to us a lot and kind of have questions around, like what is a really good ratio of my fees to my total income, meaning, like 10,000 of design fees, $100,000 of revenue, that means your design fees are sitting at about 10%. So maybe react to that and kind of in your experience and things you've seen at the Dove and at running your own firm, like that, where that percent should sit and what that kind of translates into.
Yep. I think it's not going to be a set number for every single person. I mean, I don't think you can say it's 10% or it's 20% or whatever. I think it's more understanding the type of clientele that you're working with. So if you're working with very, very high-end clientele and you're working on, projects that maybe, the timeline of those projects is going to be a year, 2 years, you really need to make sure that the majority of what you're collecting for, your, if you want to say, your fees on that project are kind of front loaded a little bit, because a lot of the work that you're going to do is on the design side, and then you're going to be managing that project for a year to 2 years. And so it's very important that you get paid for that, if you want to say, intellectual property up front. So taking those higher design fees and then having more of a management fee to follow that project through. Versus if your projects are more, quick hits, you're doing more, e-design, or you're hopping in on a one room and you're going to help somebody buy just a couple pieces of furniture, whatever. Yes, I mean, you can put more value in what you're going to make on the product, because you're selling products quickly, you're getting that revenue quickly, and you're not being asked to then manage that project for the next, year or whatever. So I think you really have to first look at what kind of projects you're doing before you can decide what percentage do I want of my income to be, or my revenue to be product versus.
Right. And I think, just to kind of tie a bow around that, one of the things to think about, like in my example of the 10% is design fees. That's typically not sending the message of extreme value on your design work versus what you're doing in terms of selecting the item. So while you are of course correct in that there's no magic ratio here, I think the higher that design fee is as a percentage of your total, what that messaging is to your client is just that, like you already alluded to, the intellectual capital or intellectual value of your services is that's higher when that percentage is 25, 30, maybe even 35% of your total, in saying that, yes, these goods are important, but you're really paying for my brain around all of this.
Right. Because you never know. I mean, the number of clients that we've seen, it happened to me, where you do all this work and then all of a sudden something happens for the client,
Right.
The client gets laid off, or the client, and all of a sudden they're like, thank you for all this work, I'm going to hold for a year. Or, you know what, I don't think I'm ready to do that right now. And you're going, I just put all that effort and all that time into that, and I
was waiting
10% or whatever.
Right.
It's not going to.
You can get burned on that. Yeah. No, that's an excellent point. And that kind of like leads into another topic in terms of getting burned, if you will, which is kind of knowing the cyclical nature of your business. One of the things, and we deal with this at the Dove Agency, I mean, when designers are slower, we're slower, right? And so just in doing your planning for 2026, like keep in mind that typically the summer months are slower. A lot of the, clients have kids home and they're not wanting designers in their home, doing installs, etc. And then the same goes for like the holiday season. So I think just being wise about how you're going to protect your business during those down cycles, and also having like the mental wherewithal to not get completely, sucking your thumb in the corner when those downturns come. Because if you look back over the history of your business, just like we look back over the history of ours, I mean, they come and they come every year, and you just have to, you have to have a good strategy for having enough kind of set aside and just kind of planning ahead for those slower months.
Absolutely. And December, it's funny because everybody thinks, oh my gosh, December is the craziest time. And yes, projects need to be completed. People want their houses, completed before they go into the holidays and are entertaining. But typically that's more install. That's more, I'm finishing the finishing touches. You're not necessarily, making a lot of money in that time where people are like, yeah, let me go and, buy a bunch of new product in December. That's not
very rare.
It's very rare. So you've got to, like you said, look at those times and plan out what does that look
ready.
like.
Yes, for sure. Well, we always aim to keep these little top branches short and sweet. And we have a bigger topic that we want to tease out for one of our upcoming episodes, which is the idea of a freight and installation allowance. We have a lot of clients that are using allowances versus, kind of that actual on the item by item basis. So we want to kind of talk about the pluses and minuses of both of those ways of managing your freight. And we think that is an episode in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, we just thought, there's so many little things that you can look at in terms of, as Ruth Ann said at the very beginning of this, how can you make yourself more profitable and get yourself ready for a new year to be thinking through, how do I make the most money I possibly can and how much can I take home myself? And so, that's an issue that we'll definitely cover. But man, you can get really burned or you can make a lot of great money on just that freight and installation process.
Yes. Awesome. Well, we like to end with our little quote, and we found one for today, which is kind of the way we started this message, which is it's never too late to get started on your planning, even though it's now February for 2026. And this is a quote by Mark Twain from my great home state of Missouri. The secret to getting ahead is getting started. Just to go out there and get started on the planning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
The Dove Agency is committed to services that ensure your financial stability and growth. As part of our dedication to the design industry, we present ID Nest, a powerful software solution for designers. Built by industry experts, it integrates financial insights, project and task management, time tracking, CRM and marketing tools to streamline workflow and power your designs. Join us next time on Top Branch. And in the meantime, to learn more, visit idnest.com.